The New York Giants made some major moves in the 2025 NFL draft, but how do they do overall? My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we are going to break down the 2025 New York Giants draft. Before we do that, Ryan is getting married here in a couple of weeks, so send him an early wedding present by hitting that subscribe button, leaving a like and a comment. Let us know what you think of the Giants draft. And Ryan, let's pull this up here. So the Giants made the correct move in my opinion, to start off the draft, drafting Abdul Carter, and then traded up into the first, getting Jaxson Dart. This was kind of the start of the Shedeur Sanders slide. So, Giants, thank you for putting the entire NFL world and starting that kind of crazy story as well. Then they got Darius Alexander to kick off the third round defensive tackle out of Toledo. Then Cam Skattebo, I think overall kind of football fan favorite after the college football playoffs, running back out of Arizona State. Then Marcus Mbow, offensive lineman out of Purdue. Then Thomas Fidone, tight end out of Nebraska. And Ryan, if you can scroll down just a little bit so the fans can see that last part. There you go. Korie Black, cornerback out of Oklahoma State in the 7th round, close to Mr. Irrelevant. But in general, Ryan, I would say if the Giants, especially then too, with everybody knows the hot seat that Joe Shane and then Brian Daboll are on, I think they did a pretty solid job
Yeah.
overall, trying to just get guys like who we think can come in and can help contribute now, but also some guys that they can go and develop into the future. For example, Jaxson Dart, he's going to be a developmental guy. I think Marcus Mbow, he's going to be a developmental guy. But that being said, I think Abdul Carter, he's coming in and he's going to help contribute a lot. I think he's going to be a staple for this Giants defensive line and just I guess front seven for a long time to come. And they gives them options in too. What do you want to do with Brian Burns? What do you want to do with Kayvon Thibodeau? I think both guys have upside, but at the same time, Kayvon Thibodeau has been hurt a little bit. Brian Burns is getting a little bit older, I guess. Cam Skattebo, I think is going to be a great compliment to Tyrone Tracy. I think Darius Alexander is going to be kind of another one, good depth piece on that defensive interior. He rose a lot up draft boards as well. So, want to throw it over to you. What do you think of the Giants draft overall? What do you think of the Jaxson Dart selection? And what else do you think the Giants could have done to maybe improve a little bit more in this class?
I thought the Giants did a good job overall. I like the Abdul Carter pick. I think it's good to see teams, especially teams in the situation that the Giants are in, not overextend for a quarterback at the top of the draft. And Abdul Carter is a fantastic player. They also, at the same night that they drafted Abdul Carter, or the next day after, they picked up Kayvon Thibodeau's 5th-year option. So they're going to have a 3-headed monster there in that edge rush rotation, or maybe even get like a NASCAR package going, get all 3 of them out on the same field. So I think that's a really good pick. I was not the biggest fan of Jaxson Dart. Now, with that being said, I understand why I think teams liked him so much. There, a lot of the tools are there. He had a lot of success at Ole Miss, and he's has the arm strength to drive the ball into tight windows. He can throw with anticipation, and you look, and a lot of the throws that NFL offenses are going to want to make are there, plus the athleticism and his running ability. You're just going to have to hone in some of his aggressiveness. But with that being said, I think that there's a lot of bust potential with that pick. I'm not going to fault them for it because I felt like this was about where he was going to go, even though he was lower than that on my board. So I think that that's a good pick for them. Darius Alexander, I like. Cam Skattebo, I like. Marcus Mbow, I think is really good value. Like, I think they just did a good job, I think, throughout this entire draft. And even like with my own board aside, this is where I think Jaxson Dart would have gone. So I'm not really going to fault them for that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, I will say, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about this. I do think if we're talking about like arm talent and then like potential ceiling, I do think Jaxson Dart has a greater ceiling than Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders can come in and be like best case scenario, like a consistent pro, maybe like 14th, 13th to like 18th overall on
Mhm.
like QB rankings for starting quarterbacks. That's best case scenario. Jaxson Dart, with what we have seen him do, like with his arm talent, with what some of these throws that he's made, is impressive overall. It's going to be, can he hone it all in together? Can he fit well within this Brian Daboll system? I think it's going to be. I think he's good. He's coming into a situation now with Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston in front of him. He can learn. You can make an argument he can learn what not to do in a lot of situations. and
Yeah.
but I also think then too as well, with him now being drafted in the first round, worst case scenario for the Brian Daboll, if he gets fired and a new regime comes in, They do have a first round quarterback here with an extra 5th-year option, so maybe they'll be like, hey, let's ride this out. Let's see what we got with this kid while we're trying to rebuild this team. So I do think Jaxson Dart is in a good situation to be there for a couple of years at minimum before worst case scenario new regime would come in and be like, no, let's kick the can. Because even too, we saw that with Will Levis as well with Tennessee. Like, hey, this kid was taken 33rd overall. Let's see what we got with him. And then
Yeah.
if we don't do well, it's like we know we have a couple of years ourselves to try and build up a good football team so they can go get
Yeah.
their guy. So he's going to have time to develop. I do like the as already mentioned then too. Darius Alexander, Cam Skattebo, and then even Marcus Mbow, I think is a good long-term developmental guy as they continue to keep on building up that interior of the offensive line. So in general, I think the Giants did a pretty solid job overall. It helps when you're picking early in every
Yeah.
single round, like you're going to get like the top guys. But in general, though, I think they made the right decision in Abdul Carter, as he's one of the few blue chip prospects in this class.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a very good way to put it is like there was really only 2 blue chip prospects. And I I think you're going to miss out on the top quarterback prospect in Cam Ward. Don't overextend yourself. Make your football team better by taking Abdul Carter. And I think that that's a good, just
Yes.
a good move there. They took a risk a little bit later, but I think it's a risk worth taking. Overall, I would give this draft a B to B plus, maybe an A minus, like if I'm feeling generous. But like this is an above average draft for me, and I think that Giants fans should be pretty happy with this. I don't know how much it will equate to wins in 2025, which is what concerns me for the long term future here. But with that being said, I think if they can win a little bit more on the margins, they could have a couple good games fall their way.
Yeah. I'll stick with the B plus. I thought they got good players I like. I think it would have been interesting if they got another receiver for this room, especially than to like in that early
That's
part of
fair.
the third round. I get why like you get Darius Alexander, but you traded away your second pick to go up into the first round to go and get the guy that you're looking for as well. I even think too they had another third round pick. I'm trying to remember what they traded for the Texans for. But to your point, though, I do see because it's like Abdul Carter's coming in, and it is already kind of a crowded edge rushing room overall. So, like, how much is that more going to lead into the games? And those guys, when healthy, are productive overall.
Yeah.
So, I see your point, though. That being said, I think they just raised the overall talent ceiling in the
Yeah.
room, and I think that's just what the Giants need as of right now. And they're in
Yeah.
such an awkward spot where trying to remember times when like owners have been like when things are going bad and they're like openly like you're on the hot seat. It's like typically
Yeah.
when an owner says that, it's like, hey, actually, let's just get a new guy in here. Like, let's not even try and like waste this year. So it's a very
Yeah.
unique situation, I feel, for the front office and Giants. So we'll have to wait and see. I I will just say divisionally wise, they're screwed because like the Commanders are set. The Eagles are somehow got better
Yeah.
with this draft. Like I don't it's they're fighting for a wild card spot as of right now. Like
Yeah.
I no offense to them, but see them having I have a tough time seeing them beating the Commanders and the Eagles for the NFC East division. And heck, who knows with the Cowboys also too. So they're
Yeah.
just in a tough spot as a whole with who they have to play against. Like that's 6 tough games.
Yeah. No, that's 6 tough games, especially for a team that has not figured out the quarterback position. You have 6 games
Yeah.
against teams that have figured out the quarterback position and have franchise quarterbacks in place, let alone star wide receivers at each one. Uh, Great defenses. Well, I don't know if Dallas has a great defense, but they have an opportunistic defense with Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and crew. So like it's a really tough division. That went
Yeah.
from a few years ago being one of the worst divisions in football to they're now the best division in football, I think. Yeah, I don't say by a wide margin because the AFC North is pretty solid as well. So,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know, but this is a good draft for the Giants. Let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Giants 2025 draft class. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And on that, we'll see you guys next time.